Hi, it's Maddie and Molly.
And today we're going to be talking about the cultural appropriation of Native Americans in fashion. Coachella, the Victoria's Secret fashion show. These are two of the most acclaimed fashion events in American culture. However, they are often breeding grounds for the cultural appropriation and misrepresentation of Native Americans that can get controversial, offensive, and disrespectful.
Today, cultural appropriation is being brought up more frequently as different cultures are taking a stand. So what exactly is cultural appropriation? It is when someone takes elements from cultures that aren't their own and remakes them and reduces it into a meaningless pop cultural item.
Today we'll be taking a closer look at how Native American culture has been misrepresented by the media and fashion industry. We'll look at examples, talk about why it's not okay to use the term Native American inspired, and learn how Native Americans feel about the appropriation of their culture. In the book The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fistfight in Heaven by Sherman Alexie, we see an accurate and real representation of what life is like on a Native American reserve, unlike what is shown in the media.
During the story, because my father always said he was the only Indian who saw Jimi Hendrix play the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock, we found this quote. During the 60s, my father was the perfect hippie, since all the hippies were trying to be Indians. This quote shows how the hippie culture was inspired by Native Americans, like example, the headbands that they wore.
And often misrepresented.
To give you a better idea of just how common the appropriation of Native American culture is in fashion, take a look at this. Some of the most popular stores in America that you might shop at have been criticized for their misrepresentation.
In 2012, the Navajo Nation sued Urban Outfitters for their Navajo-inspired line that included underwear, flasks, and jewelry. Urban Outfitters had been classifying their products with certain colors and patterns as Navajo since 2001. The two have reached an agreement, but we continue to see examples of cultural appropriation of Native American culture in fashion.
Chanel, Gwen Stefani, MAC Makeup, and Vogue. These are all huge names in pop culture who have dealt with backlash for their controversial and offensive misrepresentations of Native American culture.
So what makes the Native American culture a target for this appropriation? For one, Native American art is really beautiful and society wants it for themselves, but loses the meaning in the process. Their culture turned into a trend and even an aesthetic, and the way it is used in fashion can become really inaccurate. Some also find the look appealing for something like a music festival.
Elements that are often used in these cases of misrepresentation include beading, feathers, headdresses, fringe, hide, animal skin, or suede, turquoise beads or stones, and Western or desert-inspired patterns and colors. But the thing is, it's really not okay to wear a people group as a pattern, product, or line. As stated in an article by The Conversation, Indigenous heritage is not public domain.
One of the main reasons that cultural appropriation is a problem is because of the inaccuracy and lack of respect for the group. The key harms of cultural appropriation of Native American culture are lack of respect for sacred tradition, cultural distinctiveness becomes commercialized, improper use of sacred and spiritual symbols, and loss of artistic authenticity. It belittles our culture and gives the public misconceptions through the media.
Take a look at these Halloween costumes. Names like Tomahawk Hottie, Tribal Tease, and Hide Huntress, they are clearly disrespectful.
Oh my god! What? Tribal temptation.
I feel frustrated that this costume exists.
These costumes sexualize a people group and are extremely inaccurate.
In the Native American culture, there are symbols and spiritual meanings behind many of the elements on their clothing. All the beads and feathers have been blessed. Everything has a meaning, and the patterns, colors, and designs are sacred to their culture. By creating costumes like these and labeling them as Native American, they are giving the public an inaccurate, misrepresented, and over-sexualized face to this people group.
Last year, Victoria's Secret sent their models down the runway wearing feathered headdresses and beaded accessories that seem to be obviously inspired by Native American culture. We saw MAC, the makeup brand come out with their line Vibe Tribe that featured product names like Adobe Brick and Painted Canyon.
A name that sounds kind of generic, but between the colors and the packaging and the names, the whole thing as a package is evocative of Southwestern native tribes, native cultures.
It's disappointing to see big brands in pop culture disrespecting and misrepresenting Indigenous cultural heritage.
Recently, Teen Vogue has launched a campaign encouraging cultural appreciation rather than cultural appropriation. This campaign shows what beauty looks like when it's not appropriated.
With social media becoming more and more powerful, it has affected the way people are reacting to these incidents of cultural appropriation. Now it is much easier for a group of individuals to come together and hold major companies accountable for their mistakes. This Teen Vogue campaign utilizes the power social media holds and was able to spread their message much easier.
Teen Vogue started the hashtag Love Your Hair movement to encourage young women to love themselves and embrace their natural beauty. Donette Rayom, a Native American from the Omaha tribe in Nebraska, shares her thoughts on this issue.
I am Donette. My Indian name is GJ Wika, and it means shooting star. When I see people wearing Native American accessories and they don't know the meaning of it, I feel disrespected just because you don't know the meaning of it. I wouldn't have the story I have if I wasn't Native American.
The Indian Arts and Crafts Act is another recent improvement combating this issue of cultural appropriation. This act is a truth in advertising law passed in 1990 that prohibits misrepresenting any art or craft as Native made when it is not. This act was made to boost the economic welfare of Native artists. This act tries to achieve this by promoting the development and expansion of a Native American arts market.
For a first-time violation of the act, an individual can face civil or criminal penalties up to a $250,000 fine or 5-year prison term, or both. If a business violates the act, it can face civil penalties or can be prosecuted and fined for up to $1 million. This act has been successful in calling out many brands, but there are still many brands who are violating this without any repercussions.
As you can see, society is becoming more aware of the importance of educating ourselves about what we buy and consume, and learning more about cultural appropriation and its outcomes.
This issue affects many cultures and distorts the way they are received by the public. We hope that our video has informed your understanding of the Native American culture and that you will be mindful next time you see examples of cultural appropriation portrayed in the media.
Thanks for watching!